All right. So welcome once again to the Parent Hour. Before I even introduce myself, I want to say one thing, that this is the first of the many Parent Hours that we will continue to organize every Sunday over the next few weeks. We understand that this is a big topic and a huge conversation, so it's impossible to sort of discuss so many questions that each one of you might have, so many things you are thinking about just in this next sort of 45, 50, 60 minutes. And so we're going to take it, bite size and keep having this conversation over the next few weeks. We want you to know that each one of us here, Bindu, Shrikant, myself, as well as, all the organizations that have come together to sort of create this opportunity, we're all with you in this journey. We want to help you make the best decision for your child, and we want to help your child make the best decision for themselves. So we're here to constantly answer your questions. We're here to help you think through options that you might be thinking through. And again, 60 minutes is not enough, especially when we're such a large group. And so please be patient if your question doesn't get answered today. As I said, we're reachable online, we're reachable by phone, by email, by text message, and we'll continue to have this forum over the next many weeks, and we'll continue to have this conversation. So just wanted to call those two things out before we get started. Now, I'll start with myself. My name is Sapna, and I am the Director of Gifted Programs at GenWise. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. This education is my second career. My first career was as a physiotherapist. I studied to be a physiotherapist, and I was a practicing outpatient therapist in New York City. I worked mostly with athletes in college level or colleges around New York City. And for about 7 to 8 years, I was a practicing therapist. And then I think I had a quarter life crisis, and where I was thinking about, I want to come back to India, I want to do something for my country, etc. And that led me to applying to a fellowship called the Teach for India Fellowship. In this fellowship, basically, I was a teacher for elementary students, that is grades 4 and 5. And I worked in sort of a budget private school in Mumbai. And it's been one of the most transformational experiences of my life. And since then, I fell in love with education. I fell in love with teaching with children. And, this question of what is meaningful and what is meaningful schooling, learning, education has been on my mind since then. And I've constantly tried to answer that question through the different things I've done. So I continued working with Teach for India for 7 years in varying capacities, in teacher training, in developing the program, establishing the organization across different cities in India. And at some point, I realized that maybe I need to step back and get a more formal education within education and learn a little bit more formally as opposed to learning on the fly or on the job, as they say. And so I applied for a master's in education from Harvard University. I spent the year at Harvard learning about education, learning about different theories, exploring schools not just in Boston and Massachusetts, but around the US, sort of trying to understand and answer this question of what does 21st century learning and education look like? I continued working at the Harvard Engineering School as a research fellow, developing a curriculum for some of the robotics programs, trying to bring the most novel and sort of cutting edge robotics that was being developed in the labs to middle and high school students. So for the next 4 years, I continued doing that. And I came back to India. I worked with an international school as the vice principal. And over time, I think one thing that has become very clear to me about myself is that I want to create deep, meaningful learning experiences for children. And I try to identify spaces where I can make that happen. And that brought me to GenWise and Gifted India. And here I am with all of you. And I've been with Gifted India and GenWise for the last almost 9 months. And so that brings me to sort of Gifted India. So one of the things I had noticed when I was in the US and when I was visiting schools in the US also is that there were opportunities for gifted students or students that are more advanced academically within their curriculum and system. So for example, they have something called AP or advanced placement classes in high school. What these classes do is essentially for children who are academically ahead or advanced, they have the opportunity to study further or to push themselves or challenge themselves further. And so they can take a more challenging curriculum, which is called the advanced placement curriculum. There are opportunities over the summer for them to attend pre-college programs. These are not only, so these courses are at pre-college level, but they're also allowing children to get college level credits at sort of the 11th and 12th grade level. Again, this is for children who are academically advanced and need to be challenged, from wherever they are. And in India, we realized that there weren't any opportunities for that. We have so many students and all of your children who are academically extremely advanced, but there is no unique curriculum or unique pathway for them to further push themselves or challenge themselves or to further learn and continue nurturing themselves. And that is what led to sort of the creation of Gifted India. Gifted India is essentially a coalition of multiple organizations that want to solve this problem, that want to be a support system for families, for students, for schools, for educators to meet the needs of gifted students. And so this was founded together by Education Initiatives, which runs the Asset Talent Search Test amongst the many other things that they do, with GenWise that does a lot of the nurturing programs, Agastya Foundation that works in a similar space but with rural students, Northwestern Center for Talent Development that has done essentially this talent development work for the last 4 decades and has immense amount of knowledge and expertise in this space. Sage, who is our partner in the UAE and does similar work in the UAE. So we came together to form Gifted India to again meet these needs of the unique needs that were sort of unmet. So in our time together today, we're going to talk about a few things. The first thing is around the idea of gifted. So what do we mean by gifted? What are the unique needs of gifted children? Why participate in gifted programs? We're going to get like a bird's eye view of GenWise's gifted program. What does a typical program look like? Who are our mentors? What kind of courses? A day in the program. We'll open it up for questions. I've tried to put this agenda together, reading all the questions that you all submitted in the Google sheet, the Google form that you filled out. As I said, this 1 hour is not enough to answer every question. This is a start. We'll continue having this conversation every week, every Sunday, until we've managed to answer all of your questions. And yeah, so in case your question doesn't get answered, please don't feel dejected. Please feel free to email me, to message me, to send a message on the form and join us in the following conversations. We'll try to cover as much as we can in the next few, next about 40 minutes together. So starting with the big idea, as in, what is giftedness and what does it mean? So we believe that everyone is gifted. Everyone has some kind of gift. We need to identify what that gift is, right? Some children are more gifted in the area of sports. Some children are more gifted in the area of arts and music. Some children are more scholastically gifted or more academically gifted. Specifically in the context of today and the asset talent search, what we mean is being gifted academically. And this is sort of the top 1 to 5% within the academic domain. We also really believe that giftedness is not, so it's not something that you have and then you hold on to for the rest of your life. It's something that you develop. So if not developed or nurtured, it's the potential is sort of lost. So imagine someone who's very musically gifted. They may have, they may have an ear for the music or an ear for rhythm. But if they don't get opportunities to continue develop that skill further, it's not going to do much. So so giftedness is not a constant. It's not something you have and then you're gifted for the rest of your life. It's developmental, and it requires nurturing. I'm going to pause there and hand it over to Bindu, who will share the more scientific approach behind the asset talent search test, and what giftedness means within that context. Over to you, Bindu.
Yeah, hi everyone. First of all, congratulations to all the students and parents who have done tremendously well in the asset talent search test. I work with educational initiatives who have been in the tech space for the past 22 years. I have been associated with EI for past 16 years, and with talent identification for past 11 years. So we started talent identification in EI in 2009. 2009 is when Duke University had approached educational initiatives where they wanted to conduct some kind of gifted programs in India, and they wanted to identify gifted students through a standardized test. And that's how they approached us, and they used the asset test. And through the asset test, we provided them gifted students wherein students were tested 2 level above their current grade. And those students who scored in the top 15 percentile were then invited for the summer camps, which they used to do in many campuses in India, like Infosys, OP Jindal University. And in 2015, when Duke, way back, it was called Duke Talent Identification Test. And in 2015, when Duke closed their operation in India, and that's when EI started their own asset talent search test. So asset talent search test is a talent identification test, wherein a student are tested 2 level above. Basically, the 2 level above testing is something which is a standardized test across the world, where to identify gifted students, they are generally tested 2 level above the current grade. And through the asset talent search test, we try to identify gifted students. This year, we have also added grade 4 because we have been getting a lot of requests from parents of grade 4s where they wanted their child to take this test and see what kind of programs. Because like Sapna said, it's a journey, and it's important that we identify gifted students at a very early age so that we can provide them programs which are useful for them. Yeah. And we have like, apart from Genwise and Augustus University, we have other partners like Purdue, Northwestern University, UC Berkeley's ATDP, and now we have Johns Hopkins University CTY program where students can take part in their online as well as residential summer camps by qualifying for the ATS test and taking part in the ATS test. These students doesn't have to appear for the admission test of those gifted programs. They can directly take admission based on their ATS scores. So that's one advantage of taking the ATS test. And like, this is a journey which you have to nurture the students, and so that their talents are
developed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bindu, for sharing that. And so as Bindu said, this test is a scientifically designed test that was created to identify the exceptionally academically talented students. What happens is, in their classrooms, they're usually high achieving. They're in the top 2, 3, 4, 5 in their own classroom. But as compared to the rest of the students in India as well as globally that take the test, it is hard to identify, like, it's hard to know where your child actually is in comparison to sort of the talent across the world. And it's also hard to understand sort of what are these areas in which they are talented, and what are areas that they can do better at. And so the talent search test, which is a higher level test, helps sort of put this into perspective as to where they are in comparison to the rest of the talented students across the country as well as the world, and which areas are they really good at in terms of their verbal ability, in terms of their critical thinking, their logical reasoning, etc. And what can they continue to do better? And just like, we've said a couple times already, that giftedness is not something, it's not a constant, it's something you continue to develop, and you continue, it's like a skill, right? It's like any other skill that you have to continue nurturing it in order to continue developing that. So again, I'm gonna, this may look very confusing, but in like very, very brief, what I'm gonna say is that say the idea of being gifted or is about being higher ability than the rest of the population. And children who are higher ability, or people who are higher ability, have a higher chance of reaching that level of eminence. And the journey, so one end of the spectrum is ability, and the other end is, say, eminence, where you become somebody really eminent, like the scientists, the Nobel Prize winners, all of those. But that journey from ability to eminence is sort of a journey, and that requires opportunity to develop, to continue to hone that ability. So as you can see, it goes from ability to achievement to eminence, and it requires opportunity, as you can see here, to continue to nurture it, and not just nurture that particular skill, right? It's not just about, say, I'm really good at like critical thinking, and so I continue to develop sort of that aspect of me. But it's also important, because they're still young children, to develop a lot of their psychosocial, social, emotional skills, which is their ability to manage failure. Because sometimes, kids who are gifted are always doing really well. So when they face failure, it's hard for them. It's hard to accept that, oh, I didn't do well at this. So, and that is just one example. They're often, they receive a lot of what would you say, attention. And so then how do you manage that? How do you continue to sort of put your head down, continue to work? How do you continue to still be a child, build your social skills, build your social network? So those skills are equally important. It's not just about that particular talent and honing that talent. So some of the unique needs that we have understood, not just by reading research, but also by interacting with students and families, parents that support gifted children, is that overall children are not sufficiently challenged in their classroom, because, as I said, we don't have a separate curriculum to challenge children who are already gifted or advanced. And so in class, things are very easy for them, or in school, things are fairly easy for them. They're not sufficiently challenged. This leads to sometimes being bored, not enjoying school. There aren't enough opportunities to pursue sort of personal interests. So some of your kids may be very interested in robotics, some of them may be very interested in music, some of them may be very interested in writing, in math, etc. But there aren't enough specialized opportunities to continue deepen sort of that interest and pursue that interest. Then being able to be a part of a similar peer ability group. This again makes a significant difference for children, to be able to be with a peer group, find their tribe. And that's often the words we've seen children use when they come to our programs as well, that sometimes they're considered sort of nerds in their own classroom. They feel out of place in their own classroom because, they're considered sort of the teacher's pet, the nerd, etc. So being able to find that peer group that has similar level abilities and interest is extremely important, and not just in the immediate sort of short term, but in the long term and in the future as well, as they grow and continue to go into colleges, and continue to sort of, do what they do in their life. Then other like psychosocial challenges, as I said, like knowing that they're really talented or gifted, leads to this, desire to be perfect, because they don't want to lose that label of gifted, and which can also sometimes become a burn. It is their strength, but it can also become their burn, where they kind of in order to want to be called the best, the most perfect, the most gifted in every space, they put in a lot of hard work. They spend a lot of energy on every little thing, which leads to sort of anxiety or stress. Or on the other hand, they don't challenge themselves enough, because they don't, wherever it's very challenging, they feel that, oh, I don't want to do this because, what if I don't do well, I fail. And then maybe others think that, I'm not good enough, actually. So all of those are, you know, those are things we've identified as needs for children, and we try to sort of meet these needs through the different programs, whether it is the GenWise program or any other gifted program. And so with that, I'm going to go into sort of a little bit about the GenWise program. This was our, you know, this is a short film from the May program. I'm going to play the film. I think I might have to, you know, I don't know if you can't hear, tell me. So I'll, is it audible? Show me a thumbs up if it's audible. Okay, thank you.
ATS results, I vividly remember my grandmother being there, and she was very supportive of it. Although I hadn't thought about the results too much before that because I didn't want to be disappointed when I got them, I realized that they were actually quite good because I got Gold Scholar, and I was very proud of myself, especially because my parents and my entire family was very supportive of me. Seeing the opportunities it brought, I was very excited as well. Teacher Prabhu sir, he's absolutely amazing because he treats physics like it's something fun to enjoy and like a game. So every day when we come to class, we play with physics, we learn how to do experiments, learn about theories, and then we go back knowing a lot more and even knowing how to do a lot more in terms of experiment and how to test theories and things like that.
He gets a chance to interact with people of his own mind length, wavelength जो बोलते हैं ना, when you go to a normal class in school, सारे बच्चे सब तरह के बच्चे आते हैं, कुछ स्पोर्ट्स में अच्छे होते हैं, कुछ एकेडमिक्स में अच्छे होते हैं, और स्कूल जब उसे टीच करती है तो जस्ट दे हैव टू बी नॉर्मल जनरल लेवल पे बात कर सकते हैं, वो बहुत हाई लेवल की बात नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन यहाँ पे दे कैन गो बियॉन्ड द कोर्स.
Have improved a lot, and I have managed my frustration, my stress, my anger issues. Everything has been under control since I came here, and my patience levels have increased a lot. Like after taking up the forensics course, teamwork has been a key part to solving our cases, the crimes that we have to solve, and I feel like I learned a lot about different moral skills.
एक छोटा सा और बात बताता हूँ, like when he was here and I was with my friends and we were just having a chat and Adi called, I was outside. So मैंने बताया उनको कि he had gone to the summer program. So I also put Adi on speaker and I told them कि uncle से बात करो वगैरह. And Adi was very happy and excited. तो जैसे फोन का यार हो रहा है कि यार आवाज में ही लग रहा है कि उसमें बहुत चेंज आ गया. Adi used to be a little bit reserved child. Social interaction में I think जो इस लेवल के प्रोग्राम आते हैं normally social interaction में the childs are little bit reserved.
First day when I spoke to her, I think I was the most relieved because the smile on her face was unbelievable. Like I was waiting for her to just speak to me at 9. But she was so relaxed, so calm, and it just, her face told me the story that she's enjoyed every moment from the time she's entered the campus.
The icing on the cake is the last night when we spoke with her, which was her last day, and she refuses to come back.
Yeah.
So that speaks volumes about the kind of care and the way the kids are taken care of over here.
These 3 weeks have arguably been some of the best weeks of my life. It's just the people I've met, the friendships I've created, the bonds I have with them now are just something truly special which can't really be replicated anywhere else.
So again, as I said, this was sort of a This was a bird's eye view, and we'll get into details over the next few weeks. The summer program is a residential learning program where kids from across the world and across India, gifted kids, I just don't want to say kids, gifted kids from across India and across the world come and learn together, learn not only academics, but a lot of the other social emotional skills. As they learn to live together, they learn to live independently from their parents for that short period of time. Our mentors are people who have been gifted themselves. And I'll share a short profile, but they're people from across the world, people who have been gifted themselves and have had to make their journey themselves. A lot of them, so this is a snapshot of their academic backgrounds, their professional backgrounds. A lot of them are, folks who are not full-time educators. They have, they are industry experts, but who deeply believe in education and in nurturing giftedness in children, and hence take out that 1 month from their life to come and be with the students and to teach them. What that does is brings a really beautiful mix of pedagogy as well as content expertise, which children are able to sort of make the most of through the classes. I'll share a very, a simple profile. So this is Naveen. Naveen is an undergraduate from IIT Bombay. He has a PhD from University of Wisconsin in computer science. He's a founder of a software company himself, has had many patents on his name and many peer-reviewed articles. And Naveen makes sure he takes out time every year to come be with the students and to teach them. Usually teaches courses on artificial intelligence, machine learning, cryptography, etc. Sarah is another example. Sarah is a professor in the university in the US, and she teaches, international relations, politics, etc. She's also taught at many gifted programs, not just in India, but also in China. She's taught with the Duke Talent Identification Program as well. And so again, children get the opportunity to learn from the best. They get this is an example of the courses across our summer program this summer, which is in May. It might have a lot of words on the slide, and it might be too wordy, but what I want you to think about is not necessarily every name, which you can find on the website anyway, but largely the courses, the way we design courses is, one, we keep them contemporary in terms of what is relevant for children to learn in today's day and age. We ensure that any of our courses, regardless of the content or the discipline, they are focused on building thinking in children, as opposed to just giving them knowledge that they can find anyways on the internet or in a book. So it's a lot of thinking. So it builds, the type of thinking that particular discipline requires. It's hands-on. So children are making something or creating something. So it's project-based, it's hands-on. For instance, say in Naveen's course on artificial intelligence, that's right on top of the list. Children at the end make their own project. So last time I remember a group of children, they created, one of those algorithms, when you go on Netflix and it tells you, it recommends certain shows for you. How does it do it, right? How does the machine do it? So the children created sort of a simple child-friendly version of that, where you had to share some information about yourself, which is your name, your age, your gender, some shows you liked, and then based on that information, they had designed an algorithm or a program where the machine kind of recommended what kind of show would be good for me. So that's an example. In the engineering design, we have bicycles. Children actually took bicycles that were dysfunctional, and as they learned more about bicycles, they serviced some of these bicycles. They thought about which parts can be salvaged, which cannot, how, etc. And from the 6-7 dysfunctional bicycles, they put together 2 absolutely functional, beautiful bicycles, which they were so proud of at the end of the course. So those are examples of courses. But as I said, the courses are always, they're contemporary. They challenge children beyond what they learn in school. They're usually designed like 2 to 3 grade levels above them. For children in 8th, 9th grade, these are kind of pre-college level. They're very hands-on and focus on building thinking in children, not just giving them the knowledge. a typical day in the program, it's a very busy, it's very busy. The children are constantly busy. They have academics about 9 to 4, and then after that they do a lot of the other extracurricular activities. In the evenings, we usually have evening attas where we have experts come and talk to children about a topic that is of interest to all of them. These are unplugged camps, so children do have a device and do get time to speak to their parents once a day, but outside of that, they are not, children are not on their devices. They're actually learning, in a classroom with other children, with experts. So that's about a typical program. I'm going to pause here. I know there were a lot of questions. I'm also going to stop sharing my screen so that it's easier for me to see everybody and to read the questions. But we have about 30 minutes together. I'd encourage you to unmute and ask your question if you have. I'm also going to start looking at the questions you might have posted on the group.
Ma'am, the questions from Google form, can they be taken up as well?
Yes, sir. So I took the questions actually from the Google form. Some of the questions were around the idea of gifted. What is giftedness? How do we understand that these programs are for gifted students, etc.? What is the nature of the program? So I tried and answered those. And then some of them were around the idea of, programs outside of India. So as Bindu shared, they are eligible for programs outside India. Bindu, can you also put it in the chat and share one more time? Which are the other programs that kids are eligible for? Is there another specific question, Mr. Anis, that you want to ask that I may not have answered?
Right. The question was around the mail that we got. It showed that child is eligible for multiple programs. Some were residential program overseas.
Yes.
Residential here, and there were online programs also. So how to identify which is the right program? So
okay,
could get guidance on that.
Sure. Okay. So how to identify which is the right program? Okay. So I'll try and answer that question. And I will also encourage Shrikant, Soumya, if you're on the call, please do share. Mr. Chaudhary, I noticed that you were also on the call. In case you want to share the process that you followed when you thought about Navya, do share that as well. So I think it's not it's very unique and sort of unique to every child. But generally, the approach I would recommend is go through the different programs. So the ones that Bindu shared, right, that the children are eligible for, go through those different programs, each of the websites, look at the different courses. They will have other materials on how the program is designed, etc. So read through that as well. That will be number one. To talk to your child around, what their interests are. What is it that they're interested in? What do they want to learn? So that's another thing. The third I would say is maybe connecting with someone from those programs, like not just GenWise, but the other programs as well, to understand a little bit more, and maybe even, speaking to another parent or other children who may have attended these programs to get feedback. So in the future, what we're going to do is we are going to invite parents and students who've come to GenWise programs to share a little bit. However, you can also get in touch with them, and I'll be happy as far as GenWise is concerned, or as far as our network is concerned. If we know students who've gone to other programs such as the Center for Talent Development at Northwestern, the John Hopkins program, I will be more than happy to connect you with them to get feedback on that as well. So that's generally the approach I would follow. But I'd start with the child and go through some of the programs, is just understand their interest. I'll let Mr. Chaudhary, if you want to unmute and share how you have thought through this process, or how you're, as you are thinking about this process, it would be lovely. Do introduce yourself, Mr. Chaudhary.
Yeah, hi, this is Rahul Chaudhary. My daughter Navya Chaudhary has been to two of the programs after she became a bronze scholar last time around, and she continues to be a scholar now. So we are thinking about this, and I will tell you one thing. The peer group issue, which Navya was having a lot of issues with She is a little studious person, and her her first feedback last time when she was in the summer camp was, there are people like me. And that gave her the kind of confidence which I could never give her by bringing all the skill, all the counseling, all the other stuff. She blossomed after that. I mean, that is one major change I see in her. Apart from what she learned, what she got as feedback, what she learned there, and it is the social peer group, social capability, and the bohem which happens after the group. And that is where I found that this program is superbly designed. We in North India find it a little difficult to reach there because of the timing of the program, because North India ends its schools a little later. But otherwise, this is something which I found my daughter to have changed her, transformed her. In fact, change is a very small word. The social interaction piece, the ability to connect, ability to create her own peer group, and from there draw the inspiration to do better. That, I think, is the biggest learning I have seen and the biggest change I have seen in my daughter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chaudhary.
And it's Rahul always, Apna.
Thank you. Mr. Anis, I hope that helps a little bit. As I said, this will be a journey. You may not, it'll take over time, you'll be able to probably figure out which is the right program for your child. But I hope that helps.
Thanks, ma'am. That is really helpful. And thanks, Mr. Chaudhary, for sharing your experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So, Sapna Kaur and Bridge Patwari, maybe Bridge, you can start, and then Sapna. Sapna Kapoor, sorry.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am. 1-2 question, because this is the first time we are having experience with this year test. So my daughter is in 4th standard right now, actually. And she got, yesterday we got mail and she got silver certificate. So now I am not very aware that whether there will be physical summer camp, she will be eligible, plus the result which says that say either not applicable or not eligible in about 10-15 courses which are listed in the soft copy of the result. And what is the future path? I mean, for example, every year she has to get qualified for this test, or based on this in future also she can get chance of this summer camp and other program. Yeah. I think you are on mute.
Yeah. Thank you for your question. So congratulations for the silver medal. In terms of which programs she's eligible for or not, I'm going to pass this on to Bindu if you can answer that question in terms of the eligibility. But I think in terms of, as you said, like what is the right program, as we discussed, it'll be a process. You can go through the different programs, talk to your child, understand what is it that they, what are their interests, and over time you will be able to come to that answer. But I'm going to let Bindu answer the other part of the question.
Yeah, so congratulations to your daughter for getting the silver medal in ATS test. It's a big feat. For grade 4 students who are going in grade 5, they will have some kind of online or programs in the winter residential. That's what Shrikant had mentioned, that Genwise will be announcing some online programs, or there will be a course in the winter program which is going to help in December. And as far as the current ATS score is valid for 2 years in the partner universities where they can take admission to those programs. Like next year, if she's in grade 5, she can take part in the programs which will be offered. But we recommend that it's good that your child take this test every year, because every year she will be tested for a different grade. So this year it's for grade 4, next year it will be grade 5. So the difficulty level will be different, and that will help your child to know where she stands among other gifted students in the country.
Right. Thank you. And ma'am, one aspect I mean, just to know the comparatively where the daughter is or somebody's body is, right? So can you say that, for example, let us say in class 4, so how many students have actually taken the test and where she is standing in terms, because percentile is in percentile. We
Yeah,
don't know
so
exactly.
overall, 3,000 plus students have participated in the Asset Answer January round, and top 11% students are in have won the gold medal, and 9% students are in the silver medal category. Hope this
Okay.
helps. Yeah.
So about 3,000 is putting all grades together, right?
All
From
grades together.
1
Yes.
to 12.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I ask my question?
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bindu.
hi Sapna, this is Sapna this side.
Yes, hi Sapna.
Okay, my son presently is in grade 7 and yesterday got a mail that he has become the gold scholar in Asset Talent Search. So I have a couple of questions that in the when we see the results, he has qualified for your gifted summer as well as winter program and many of the international programs except the John Hopkins Center Talented Youth Program. So first of all, my reason was that why not eligible for that? Is it some other criteria for getting qualified for that? Number one.
Yeah, and the other question is?
And the other question is that, like I was going through certain of the programs, trying to find out the details, like just like I trying to figure out like what's the Northwestern Center for Talent Development Program is like, but I couldn't gather much information about it or, couldn't understand the concept much. So will it be able for any of you, like whom I can touch base one-to-one to have a better understanding about the programs so that, we can very well figure it out and what it is? And my last question is, I saw your presentation about the residential program which you are planning in the summer. So like you said, in the starting few days, there will be followed by the creative writing. So just like presently, my son scored the highest in English, followed by maths and followed by science, right? So will it be like one has to select like which program out of those 3 weeks he would like to do, or it is the entire program he needs to attend?
Yeah, sorry. So your first question, I'm again going to defer to Bindu, who can respond as to why not the John Hopkins program. The second and the third, yes, please drop us an email. As Shrikant has also mentioned in the chat, we're going to continue having this forum over the next 8 weeks at the least, and we'll try to invite diverse folks, as I said, from parents to students to our own mentors. We'll try and see if someone from CTY, CTD, etc. They can also be here to share about their program. But if not, please get in touch one-on-one. My email is in the chat. I'll put it again. You can also find my phone number in the chat. Please feel free to WhatsApp me, email me, and I'll be happy to set up time one-on-one to help you go through the details of that program. And the third question, which is, so our summer, the residential program is a 3-week program. Now, over the 3 weeks, the children can choose a different, they can design the 3 weeks the way they want. So they could do one course, which is 3 weeks long, if they're clear that this is what I want to do and I just want to deep dive into this particular course. Or if children want to explore different aspects, then they can do a combination of courses. So that's why there are courses that are just 1 week long or courses that are 3 weeks long. So if your son wants to rather try, a few different courses to understand what he likes and what he doesn't, or, he wants a little bit of everything, then he can choose the 3 different courses over 3 weeks. But the program is 3 weeks long. Now, how you use those 3 weeks or what you learn across the 3 weeks, there is flexibility to design that. Bindu, I'm going to let you answer the first question.
Yeah, for John Hopkins, the eligibility criteria is the student has...
Hold on 1 second. I think she dropped off. She just joined back. Sapna, are you there? Hold on a second.
Hello, Sapna. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
My head got disconnected due to the network.
No problem. Bindu's responding to your first question now.
Yeah, okay. So the eligibility criteria for John Hopkins centers is basically a child has to score 98 percentile or more in English and maths.
Okay, got it. Yeah, he scored 96%, so probably that's why.
Yes. It's their bar is high, so it's 98 percentile in English or maths.
In English or maths.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Fair enough. And sorry, my line had got disconnected quite long back. So regarding the question that if I can touch base with 101 with somebody, is that possibility there?
Yes, Sapna. Yes. So my number and my email is in the chat. You'll also find it on the GenWise website. Feel free to drop me either a text, a WhatsApp call, or email, whatever works. And we'll schedule time to speak one-on-one.
Grateful. Thank you so much. Highly appreciate that.
You're welcome. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the order in which the hands went up, but Abhiraj, Ketki, and then Sumak. We'll go in that order.
Hi, Sapna.
Hi.
This is Abhishek, Abhiraj's father.
Yes, hi,
My
Abhishek.
son is in grade 8, and he basically got a Silver Scholar certificate. So just wanted to check. So we'll probably be moving out of India and moving to Europe probably in a month or so. So would he still be able to take any of the online programs?
Yes, as and when the online programs are posted, absolutely. And as much as the time difference allows for it. Of course, we don't want him to be up in the middle of the night trying to study.
Fair enough. And the details of these programs, do I need to individually go into those specific university or institute websites and then look up, or how does it work?
Yes, ideally, yes. So you would, depending on where you want him to study or what he wants to study, you can look up the different programs that he's eligible for, generally see where, what kind of online options are available, and also look at, within those, is there something that he enjoys? And then you can, so say if you find 2 or 3 programs where he's, where he enjoys something, then maybe you want to get in touch with them to get to know a little bit more, from like the peer group perspective, class size perspective, etc., like who the mentor is. So maybe those kind of then details based on what you've shortlisted.
All right. And even the fees details will also be available on the institute's website.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ketki?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ketki. My son is studying in 6th grade and he was awarded Gold Scholar certificate. So I am really interested in the residential program because that will be a very new experience for him. So for that, what is the typical fee structure that will help us determine, whether we can send him,
So one, it's available on the website. Shrikant, can you take that question? Also quickly introduce yourself.
Sorry, what was the question again?
The fee structure for the residential program. And each program, Ketki, will be different. So say a GenWise program will have its own fee structure, like a John Hopkins or, Center for Northwestern, etc. They will all have their own fee structure.
Yeah, okay, I think the fee structure is 1,77,000 for 3 weeks. It comes down, it's about 60,000 per week. Okay, so depending on the length you want, because some courses are for 1 week, 2 weeks, but you can put the ballpark at 60,000 per week. This includes GST also.
And one more question: any scholarships for children who have scored higher or anything? I mean, any such thing?
Yeah, we have scholarships, but as of now, we are only supporting children who need economic support, who need financial support. So we still don't have scholarship commitments for, high performers.
Thank you, Shrikant.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Ketki. Thank you, Shrikant. Sumak?
Hello.
Hi. Hi, we can hear you.
This is Shomak. My daughter Srija has got ATS Silver certificate yesterday. We have got the mail. What I have been listening that throughout that I have got some idea that actually I'm interested in sending her in a summer residential camp that is going to be on May. But my understanding is that it's courses for 3 weeks. But my question is that can you offer any 1 week or something, or any particular course around among these 3 weeks? So this is my question. And one thing more, that in this summer camp or something, any one of the parent can assist, can accompany her, or she has to go alone?
So the general answer to your first question is yes. Though we do encourage, like say for instance, if there is a conflict of dates, etc., or you're unsure, whether she will be, this is the first time she's living away from home and you're unsure, etc. You can sign up for a 1-week course, and then, based on, say, she really enjoys it and wants to continue, feel free to extend, or for the first year, just try a 1-week course. That's perfectly fine. In terms of parents accompanying, yes, you can drop her off, as well as, we absolutely encourage parents to come pick them up, because we have a big graduation ceremony the night of the previous night. We also want to get to know the parents, etc. And so definitely come pick her up. In terms of being there, through the week, like, can she do it as a day scholar? If it means that, she stays with you, but she comes to the school, etc. We don't encourage that much. Unless there's like some real medical emergency or something. This is, we understand that this is the first time for children. They are nervous. All of them are nervous. But you need to, you can just trust us that we know, we have been doing this for many years. And most of the children that come to our program are living away from home for an extended period of time for the first time. And it's actually a very important skill that they learn through this, taking care of themselves, learning to live with a roommate and sharing and negotiating. Those are all extremely important skills. And yeah, so we, I don't encourage you being there, but definitely come to drop off and pick up. I'm also going to let Shrikant,
Actually, we highly recommend parents, just like Sapna said, we highly recommend parents don't come to children, but we highly recommend they come the day before the graduation ceremony, because we generally have an open house where most of the children demo their project. So it's a great way to interact with the mentors, get their feedback on what your child is doing, and of course, the graduation ceremony. So I think you can save some money by not coming to drop them.
Right. Got it.
Thank you. There were many hands up before. Sumak, did we answer your questions?
Yeah.
And then I think
Sorry, say that again, Shrikant.
I think we have
one thing I was not sure that I have asked a question that whether we can adopt for 1 week course or something.
Yes.
Not 3.
Yes, I answered that before, that overall, yes. And as I said, ideally, it'll be lovely if she stays for the 3 weeks, but yes, you can opt for a 1-week course as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Shrikant, sorry, I didn't hear you.
I think we have time for 2 more questions and we should wrap up.
Yes, we have 3 minutes left, so definitely take 2 more questions. And outside of that, as I said, we'll continue having this, and you can always reach out to me as well. I again don't remember the order in which. Bidisha, maybe you can all.
Hi.
Yeah, Bidisha.
Yeah, hi, people. So I have a couple of questions. The first being that when this circular was given from the school, it was mentioned that in India, in Manipal University, the same will be conducted as a part of summer program where professors from IIT will be conducting this whole summer camp. So is it something that is in similar lines to the ones that is told to us from Johns Hopkins, or is it a separate one?
From Johns Hopkins, what were you told that it'll be in Manipal from Johns Hopkins? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that Johns Hopkins, because my kid is in grade 4. She's a gold scholar, and she's eligible for the residential program. So I'm saying that, is it an equivalent of the one that is happening in Manipal? Is it either or?
Yeah, so the Gen-wise summer program happens in Manipal, or will be conducted in Manipal in the summer. The John Hopkins, of course, happens in John Hopkins in the US. But the design of the program is quite similar. But ours is contextualized a little bit to India, but the design in general, where the kind of courses, the kind of mentors, the design of the day, the residential program, all of that is very similar across both the programs. I don't know if that answered the question. Shrikant, do you want to add something?
No, I don't want to add anything.
Okay. Yeah, Vidisha, did that answer your question?
Yes, that does answer. So which means that we can send to Manipal, and that initiation has to come from school, or will that be with you?
No, with the parent. With the parent, you decide.
Yeah, just go to the website, register, pay the fees, but I think since your daughter is in grade 4, going to grade 5, she does not qualify for residential.
No, but when we got it is at the email that came to us, it said that it is qualified for the residential in Johns Hopkins and also the one online. These are the two for Johns Hopkins. We did not get an intimation, however, from Manipal. But I am telling it because the school had given the circular from ATS where it was mentioned that Manipal is in. So I'm wondering that. So what is applicable for her?
The John Hopkins is applicable. The Gen-wise program that happens in Manipal, 5th graders or 4th graders going into 5th grade, they're not eligible for the residential program. They're still very young.
Okay, so only Johns Hopkins is applicable for her. Okay, all right. So just wish to understand this curriculum or the summer internship program there, the travel, the visa, everything will be taken care by your team, or
No. The parent will have to take care of that.
Okay, so we take it and then you take the kid along with others and then you stay with that's everything. The stay includes.
No. That is, so the John Hopkins programs that will happen in the US, you apply to the program. If your child gets through, then probably they'll send you a letter, and similar to US universities, you will get something, you apply for the US visa, and it will be your responsibility to get the child there and back, or apply for the visa. We'll be happy to help in any part of the process in terms of, selecting the program or something, or if you're not able to get in touch with them, to help you get in touch with them. But the rest of it, we are not involved with their program.
Right. All right, got it. Fine. Thank you so much for answering. You have answered.
It's just like applying to different universities for higher studies or undergraduate programs.
Right. And just one.
That now you are eligible and recognized. Your child is recognized as gifted by them.
Right, absolutely. Thanks. And just one last question. So if it's a 7-day program or 10 days, depending on the stay that the child there is, and what is awarded to them is a certificate. So what is the significance or the validity of that certificate? Is it recognized by universities in US or in India, somewhere where we can be utilizing this certificate? Is there an application of that? I'm just trying to understand.
See, India, we are not so sure, but in the United States, every child, when they apply for undergrad or, you always write up a portfolio, right? That, what are the special things they did, special recognition. And I'm pretty sure, getting identified as a gifted child by Asset Talent Search definitely will get noticed.
Right, absolutely.
Will definitely get noticed.
All right. Thank you, Shrikant, for answering me.
Thank you. Ritika, do you want to ask your question? That'll be the last question. I encourage everyone to put their questions in the chat. We've already read through all the questions you had on the Google form as well. We'll try to continue responding. We'll club them into themes and try and send out responses by email. And again, please feel free to reach out to me. Please feel free to, write to us, connect with us. Happy to answer questions. And we'll meet again next week as well. Ritika, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So my child is in class 4 and he's just got the Silver Scholar certificate. So I would appreciate if I get to know about any online, course which would perhaps increase their aptitude towards a deeper learning, any course which perhaps adds value to the way they are preparing right now or the way they attend to the subject. Yeah. So any online training, because see, what I understand from today's discussion is that most of these programs, because they are quite high financially, it's a higher amount involved in it. I believe once they are in a higher grade, then it does make these programs more beneficial once we are more sure of what subjects they are loving, and then we can actually spend on their higher education, which grows them further towards their career growth. So class 4 and 5 is too early to decide and spend quite a high financial amount for these 3 weeks courses.
Yeah.
So considering that, and especially because ASSET, I think, is still new to our country in terms of certificate recognition. I think it's going to take few years for that. So for these early beginner students, any online session to increase their aptitude would be really, really appreciable.
Yes, feedback taken. We will try and at the moment we don't have programming like online programming, but we're in the process of putting something together. As soon as we have something up, one, it'll be on the website. We'll also send it across by email, but definitely will.
Yeah, because as a silver scholar, I could not see any program which he could take up right now.
Understood. We'll do.
I get it.
We'll update you as soon as we have something.
All right.
Yes. Okay, I know it is 12:34. We had scheduled this till 12:30. I do have some time and I'm happy to hang out here, but if you need to drop off, thank you so much for joining today. I will continue to send you, responses through email for commonly asked questions. I will also share, the details for the next week's call. But if you need to hang out and you want to ask a few other questions, please feel free to do so. For everybody else, thank you so much. Have a wonderful Sunday.